in politics, especially when they begin to test you. Some of the tests will be to get you up. Someone will call you at 2 a.m. when you're supposed to be sleeping or cuddling your baby or breastfeeding your newborn and tell you to be in a meeting like 20 kilometers away in 5 minutes. You gotta go. You gotta just get up, put your milk in the bottle and give to your husband or brother or daughter or son or whoever to feed that child and make sure you get to that meeting. Because these are all the things that they're going to use to test you to be sure that you are capable before they start handing certain positions, certain areas of leadership to you. You must do 50 times more work than the men. It's unfortunate, but that's just the truth. You have to be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, and you have to know that this is what you really want.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Magnetica podcast. Today, we are joined by the amazing Madam Eunice, whom I have talked about on my statuses, and you might have seen. Madam Eunice Becker was a presidential aspirant in Nigeria in 2019 alongside 42 others. I hope I got that number right in terms of who others were running. This is a very timely discussion here in Kenya because we will be holding our general elections in August of this year, and we have our first ever female presidential running mate since the new constitution came into effect in 2010. And if she gets into power, she'll be our very first female deputy president. Nigeria is also in an election period, in case you didn't know. So it's as hot as Kenya is, so that makes it equally as relevant. I think women in politics is still a sight to behold here in Africa, and I think also the rest of the world. We still don't have a lot of women in politics, which is why I felt that I needed to talk to Madam Eunice Becker since the opportunity presented itself. She is not only a politician who founded the National Interest Party, she'll tell us more about that, but also a businesswoman and a lawyer. That is the ultimate combination. So in true Magnetica fashion, I will let her introduce herself. Please introduce yourself to our Kenyan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Purity. I'm Eunice Atuejide. I used to be Becca, but I've reverted to my maiden name, Atuejide. And yes, I am a politician in Nigeria. I'm a lawyer in the UK and in Nigeria. And I do a lot of political strategy work for many more politicians in Africa and in the West, America and Europe mostly. So yeah, I don't know what else I should do as per introduction. I'm a business specialist in strategic planning, especially and business development. And I help bring a lot of work to Africa when it comes to developing technology, infrastructure, raising finances for public and social investment kind of project. And yeah, and now I am doing quite a lot of work to get myself positioned and hopefully become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in due course. Thank you.
Awesome. Everyone, you could be listening to the future president of Nigeria, so be very keen. So could you please give us a brief of your journey? How exactly did you get to this point? And what I'm referring to is, I noticed that you have had multiple career paths in your life, and our audience is that of primarily of young people. So we usually target 20-somethings mostly. So you left agricultural economics and pursued French, I think, and then went on to study business administration, then later pursued a diploma in filmmaking and acting. Wow. What was going on there? Exactly.
Okay. I've always been a curious person, even growing up my early days in Nigeria, back days in Iwaya, back in the days. I've always been very curious and I've always wanted to use both my mind and my hands to put food on the table and to help as many people as possible. So, but then another thing was a bit on the restless side. So I tend to get bored doing the same thing over and again. So I tend to look for variety. So in terms of studies, once I left secondary school, I became more and more interested in pretty much every facet of life. I wanted to know everything that was possible to learn. And so I first went to school to do pharmacy, but then doing pharmacy meant I couldn't act, I couldn't dance, I couldn't travel and do a lot of things I wanted to do because it meant being in school pretty much 247. I didn't want that. So I switched to agric economics, and then I was able to like combine arts, music, dance, whatever I needed to do to raise money to support my family. I was able to combine them with my studies. So yes, my first degree was in agric economics in the University of Ibadan. And from there, I went to study French in France. Then I did German language. Then I did business administration, which I did in German language. So studying business administration, I didn't go back to the default setting of learning in English language, but I used German language to study my business administration, both the first degree and the master's degree level of the program. Then I went into movie making. I was already in the film industry in Nigeria. Like I was one of those kids who were dancing, acting, singing in the entertainment industry. So I was still in and out, but then I decided to formalize it. And then I went to the New York Film Academy, studied filmmaking, directing, editing, and then acting in Sally Johnson Studios, which was also in New York. Then I did communications management along that. I mean, pretty much around the same time. Then I went back and did the master's I did in business administration in Germany, having already finished the first degree at the time. Then, of course, I went back to Nigeria. I went back to the film industry, producing movies, directing, supporting artists, getting royalties paid out to artists both within the African and the international communities. Then I got bored. And then I wasn't making the kind of money I wanted to be making. So I moved to procurement. So I started getting contracts from my friends had already moved back to Nigeria at the time too, so they would we would come together, lobby and tender for contracts, and then when we win the tender, I was the one designated to do the procurement because I had access, I had all the, I mean, visas that I needed and passports that I needed, so I could travel all over the world, get the products, get the goods, get the agreements done, ship them, and do them quite quickly. So that became the interesting thing. And then, yeah, we got into that. Then over time, we started raising money for projects in developing countries, whether it is infrastructure, building, mass housing, like the bigger the challenge, the more interesting I found it, and the more likely I am going to get involved. Then I got bored too. I went back and started studying law, and did quite a few degrees in law, the graduate diploma in law, the LLB, the masters, the LLM, then the law schools, both in UK and in Nigeria. And I qualified and did all that. Then law was interesting, but I realized there was like a bigger way to use law, and politics was the most important for me because I realized that having all the money in the world would not help as much as having the power to move the nation, create the policies, implement them, and create the opportunities for a larger number of people to improve their lives. So politics from law school, actually, politics became the in thing. So we started by forming the National Interest Party, which we did while I was still in law school in Nigeria. And from then we created in fact we formed the National Interest Party to be able to do a lot of our politicking online, so that even our members were abroad, and don't forget that most of us were under 30 at the time, and let's say under 40, because there were some of us who were already above 30, but most of us were under 30, then some of us were under 40, but we just became a team. And I think there were almost 5,000 of us at the time, because there were 6 campuses in Nigeria, and we're able to draw people from all the 6 campuses into one port. And then all of us were able to like secure memberships from all the 36 states and Abuja. And then from then on, we're able to form into a political party. Now, funding was a major issue, but at least all of us had an idea of what we wanted, which was a Nigeria that works for everybody, no matter your level, no matter your ethnic origin, whatever it is, a Nigeria that just simply works for everybody. With the party, we were able to sponsor, I think, about 563 people to run for different offices, and then I ran for the presidency. And after that, our party was deregistered because we couldn't win any of the positions we ran for or secure the minimum percentages that were now the new law. So we got deregistered, and then all of us moved to different political platforms because for us, it was mostly now about getting power because we now realized that being in a position of power was better than being rich. Because no matter how much money you had, you were not going to be able to influence as much as you would be able to do if you had power. So we dispersed and all of us knowing what directions we needed to go and having different links in government, we just dispersed and merged into different political parties and then started chasing for power with them. So I came back just a few weeks ago from racing for the House of Representatives under the All Progressives Congress. And then some of my members raced under the PDP. What's that their name again? I can't even remember. People's Democratic Party. And then others were in ADC, ABGA, like we're all in different parties. I'm not sure any of us won the nomination, but at least most of us have appointments and relationships with people who are in power. And then in our own little ways, we're able to like influence small spheres of activities. But I am believing strongly that things would move so much further next year because by the time the new government comes to power, the relationships we formed over the past, I think we started this thing in 2015 in law school. So about 7 years now, I'm pretty sure the relationships and contacts we have made over the past 7 years will put quite a number of us in positions of power so that we can at least begin in our own little ways or improve the little ways within which we have been, influencing society and driving the mindset, especially of the younger generation, so that we can begin to think a bit more with the larger picture in mind.
Wow, that's a very, very comprehensive answer. I really like the vision that you've
Thank
had
you.
for your own lives and for the lives of everyone else. So, given your story, Grace Wanjiru is a member of our audience. Also noticed that you have done so many things in your life which
Mhm.
don't look very connected at face value. So she asks, what is your advice to someone who is confused, especially because they are good at many things?
And when you find that you are good at many things, for me, the approach is to look for the one that gives you the most joy and that affects the most number of people positively. You have to look at the things you're doing as a solution giving process. You're solving problems. Which part of the things you do solves the most problems around you? Okay, you like to make hair, but you also like to sew clothes. Now, do more people need hair than need clothes? And does making hair make you more happy than making clothes? Then when you weigh those options, depending on how many more people need their hairs to be beautiful, to be happy, and how many more people need their clothes to be beautiful, to be happy, and which of those two makes you most happy, that's the one you should choose. The one that makes you feel better and that solves more problems, at least from your perspective. Because that's what I usually do when I looked at, okay, there are several options, there are several routes I could take, then the next thing for me is which route gives the more people opportunities to be the best they could be for themselves, to have better opportunities in life, and to enjoy this world a bit more. So I'm likely to choose the one that gives me a lot of joy, the one that doesn't stress me too much to do, or even if it's a lot of stress, I don't mind, I enjoy it, which also gives more people the opportunity to be happy or solve problems for more people. That's the one I usually do. That's how I reduce the number or the confusion in my head. I look at it from the perspective of me and the others. Then it makes it a lot easier to make a choice.
Okay, and I also think that's very, very practical. in line with that again is personally, I'm also the kind who just wants to do a lot because I'm very curious. But what I've found is that sometimes when I apply for opportunities which I feel fit my interests, is people tell me, your background is interesting, but it doesn't fit what we're looking for. I understand when they mean my background is interesting because it does look like I have a podcast, I have a chemistry background, I have this, I have that. It doesn't seem to fit perfectly. So what would you say to someone like me who is somehow all over the place, but not really? It's going to fall into place over time. What would you
Mhm.
say to them when they are facing the world and applications?
Yeah. You have to believe in yourself because 90% of the world won't even see all the value you have. They won't even realize what an asset you are until you blow out and you're like big. So most of them will say no to you, but you can't afford to say no to yourself. So you have to always pick yourself back up, look at the things you've done. If there's need for adjustments, make the adjustments and then go again. You have to keep going because you're going to meet more no's than you're going to meet yes. In fact, you're going to meet only one yes out of 1,000,001 no's. And that's the one yes you need. So the no's are going to keep coming, but you have to within yourself be very sure, check realistically, what am I saying? Am I really as good as I am? And 90% of the time you really are. They don't believe it, they can't see it, but you know it's there. So it's for you to push it out and use whatever avenues you can find to push it out. Always be ready. Whether you are the one making applications or they are the one looking, making proposals, whichever one it is, always have it at the tip of your fingers. Have a copy on your phone, on your laptop. Everywhere you go, you can say, yes, this is my CV, take a copy and keep going. The nose should not, yes, they would hurt. Oh God, you will look at it and you saw the opportunity. You were very sure that you were the perfect fit for them, but they couldn't see it. You can't blame them for being so blind, but you can't let their blindness affect your confidence or affect your faith. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the process and keep going because the day is coming where they will all come back and be offering you so much more than you would have ever dreamt to ask for. Just have to believe and keep going.
All right. There's so much hope in that. And speaking of no's, Grace also asks, how did you handle losing the election and what did you handle from what did you learn from it?
Oh, I learned so much from my elections. Okay, now I was quite lucky. I didn't get a lot of no's in terms of my elections, but I got hurt a lot. I got hurt by people I trusted who ended up doing things that I thought, gosh, you wouldn't even do that to your worst enemy. The first election when we were racing for the presidency, for me, it was more about putting my voice in the box, more about making sure I'm heard, more about making sure that everybody knows that we are coming. The more, how do you say, I don't want to be too vulgar or too conceited, um, but the more exposed, more understanding, more empathetic, more humane bit of humanity is coming. Whether we are going to be younger or older or whatever is not so important for me, but it's important for me that we have character and we have integrity and we want to bring it into the system. So it was important for us to come in and start making it known that we are coming, we are taking our space, we are taking our place in this space, and we are going to make it worth our while and the while of everybody else in this country. So it's important for me to come in politics. Yes, we need to get in here. We need to start to change the narratives by producing the correct laws, implementing the laws properly, and making policies that allow everybody to thrive, everybody to get to the best they can get to. Yes. So it was important for them, for me, and all of us to put our voice in the box and start pushing. Now, the no's we were getting there weren't many because we formed our own party. We decided, okay, we tried to get in there. We saw that it was a clique of sorts, and you needed to, be subservient to some of the old hands who have been doing everything wrong. You needed to be subservient and go under their wings in order to come out. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to come in at our own time and on our own terms. So we did that. We formed the party. We went on. We got in. But then, considering that people don't really want to put money in a venture that is so like they are not sure how it's going to pan out. In fact, everybody's sure it's not going to work out. So we didn't have the kind of funding we needed to even sustain it. So at the end of the day, we were removed from the register of parties, but it didn't end there. We said, okay, they don't want us to come in the way we want to go in, but that doesn't mean it's over. So that was the biggest no we've had so far. But it didn't stop us. What we now did was we went into all the political parties in Nigeria and we started pushing from there. And yes, we are not winning elections, but we are winning minds. We are winning. We are given space to sit and speak on behalf of the masses. We are given the opportunity to, help design programs, even if it's just small like this. It's something. We are helping. We are learning, and we are getting to that place where we are headed, which is like a place where 90% of the people in charge of the government and the lives of the people in our country are people with hearts, people with love for the masses, and people with integrity and character who want to see that everybody else is doing well. The time will come, and a lot of us will look back and like, thank God we didn't give up, because, yeah, the heartaches are many. The push to stop you, they are like really plenty all over the place. But the no's, I know many, like even racing under the All Progressives Congress recently, I got cheated out when I won the primaries and they gave it to somebody else. But then they came to me to negotiate. We're like, okay, yes, the method they used wasn't nice. It's made me spend so much time, energy going into the bushes in the night and day. It's tough to race for office in Nigeria. But I did it all and I got to the place where the people actually fell in love with me. It didn't now even matter whether I had as much money as the other guy to share. What now mattered was whatever it had to take, this woman, this person to represent us. And then they took it away. That was a huge heartbreak for me. But then they came back and they're like, look, babe, we had to take that away because we feel you are better than that. I'm like, that's not how to tell me. That's not how to tell me. If you tell me, okay, don't spend your money, don't go there, don't do that, okay, let's negotiate. I will understand that better than letting me go in there, fight the worst of the demons, come out successful, and then you tell me, no, you can't have it because we have a better place for you to go. But all well and good. It's not everybody that got those kind of deals. So, okay, they want me to go into diaspora support and funding and strategies for them. It will do them so much better. It will do me so much good growing politically. I can be a minister in the next dispensation and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, these are all really beautiful. But you could have done all that with me prior to the 3 months it took me to go in there and turn the stories around and get this woman elected to represent my constituency in the Federal House of Representatives next year. But looking at what happened to all the other women, because it's actually quite difficult for women to win elections in Nigeria. But when I look at what happened to all of them, I kind of become quite grateful that mine didn't end up in a way that I went back with absolutely nothing. At least I have a deal where I'm actually still part of government, just not as a House of Representatives member. So yes, you get a lot of no's and they hurt bad, but you can always convert your no's to bigger yeses by just, using your network, talking to the people and listening to reason. Because if I had insisted, I want my ticket back, I would have gotten it, but then I would have gone into a much worse situation than most people because my first opposition will now be my party people. My chairman will be opposing me. My members will be doing everything to sabotage me. Anytime I go to campaign, they will always come up and beat me up to frustrate me and whatever. So when you look at the situation you find yourself, you have to actually see that some of those no's may be a bigger yes than what you were expecting. So that's my approach to these things. I don't want to get burned out. I know it's a very long journey ahead. So in my mind, I try to stay positive and I start to look at opportunity in every no.
Wow. That is such an amazing attitude, I must say. And I'd like to take up a bit of more of your time
No problem.
and ask follow-up questions based also on our audience questions. It's almost like you can see what they asked. And I had a question here from Odile Inezaya. She's from Rwanda, and Gina Malangi, who's a great friend of mine. And she asked, what challenges are you facing as a female politician in this era? I know you have mentioned it a bit, and I know you've spoken about other females coming out with nothing. I'd like you to just paint a picture, because I know some of us will be listening and thinking, in 2027, I want to run for an MCA position in Kenya. paint a
Yeah,
picture, because I know Nigeria is not that different from Kenya.
I'm
And
pretty sure.
yes, and Odile also asked, I think this is slightly connected. What does it take to be a great politician? So, what are the challenges a female
Mhm,
politician faces in this
mhm.
era? And then, what does it take to be a great politician?
Okay. The challenges, yeah, certainly one of the worst of all the challenges is the financial one, because people are not going to back you unless you're the wife of a governor or the daughter of a governor or somewhere related familiarly with some of the powers that are already there. And they feel like, okay, yes, this person could benefit our dynasty. You're highly likely to struggle for money. So that's going to be one of the worst of all the challenges you're going to face. For some reason, it's so much easier for the guys to raise money than it is for us women. But it's possible. If you have a long term plan, which is what all of us as women must do, plan for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of politics, and then know the milestones you will expect for every 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years. This is where you need to be, and then be checking realistic draft, because some people can just go and draft some impossible nonsense and then be killing themselves because they are not achieving their aims. You need to be realistic about where you are and realistic about how long it will take you to get to where you're going to. The good thing is that if you draw a realistic plan, you're highly likely to achieve more milestones in a shorter time than when you draw a pressure-filled plan that you may never ever achieve, and then you start feeling like the world is all up against you, and then you give up. So the first thing, the first challenge you have to put at the fore of your mind is a financial one, and I think is the worst of all the challenges. Because when you look at it a bit holistically, you realize that most of the other challenges you can actually clear out of your way if you had the money to do it. For example, people won't believe so much that you have the capacity to deliver as a politician, because a lot of it is also rough work. You have to actually sometimes get to box or punch people because they are taking you for granted or trying to cheat you, and you think that by bullying you physically you'll give up. At that point you have to throw a few punches, because the moment you throw those punches you gain street credibility, and then that street credibility kind of makes people aware that yes, you are educated, you are posh, you are everything else, but you also have the ability to get physical if that's what needs to be done in order for you to get where you need to go to. So when you conquer, or at least begin to conquer, the problem of money, then it comes to the problem of mentality. Our people are very patriarchal by nature, so they don't expect women to come into leadership or to want even to be in positions of power. So they are going to attack you from the angle of, we are a woman, you should be at home cooking, raising kids or whatever. You need to be ready for that. You need to be able to prove that you are doing whatever you need to do as a woman. I have 5 children. I have a granddaughter. I'm doing my work as a mom, but I want to lead my people because I have the qualities needed to be a good leader. And luckily for me, as can see from the results of the elections, they don't mind having a woman leading them. So you have to be ready to do the fight in terms of, they don't want a woman, or there are some people who are actively doing their best to stop you just because you're a woman. So you need to be able to fight that. Then you also have to be able to take insults that would most likely not go to the men. They'll call you a prostitute, they will molest you, they will do a lot of things that you'll be like almost disgusted and you would want to leave the arena, because there's no part of your life that would expose you to so much more abuse than politics would do to you, especially in our African setup. But you have to be ready too. You have to be ready mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to like stop those bullets from hitting you. Just think about it like, okay, you're talking nonsense. Smile your way out of it, or laugh your way out of it, or frown your way out of it, whichever one suits you. But don't let them get at you because of the rubbish they're going to be talking into your ears. Then you also may need to adjust your own timetabling, because a lot of us as women, we're used to routines. We know when we wake up, when we sleep, when we come out for meetings, or you have a routine that is a normal human being's routine. You have to turn that upside down. In politics, especially when they begin to test you, some of the tests will be to get you, or someone will call you at 2 a.m. when you're supposed to be sleeping or cuddling your baby or breastfeeding your newborn, and tell you to be in a meeting like 20 kilometers away in 5 minutes. You gotta go. You gotta just get up, put your milk in the bottle and give to your husband or brother or daughter or son or whoever to feed that child and make sure you get to that meeting. Because these are all the things that they're going to use to test you, to be sure that you are capable before they start handing certain positions, certain areas of leadership to you. You must do 50 times more work than the men. It's unfortunate, but that's just the truth. You have to be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, and you have to know that this is what you really want. You don't want to come in there and be confused. When they throw punches at you, you can't take it, or you can't take them rather, and then you start to falter. You have to be very sure that you want to be in this arena because it is a messed up area. It's not for, I would say, it's not for normal thinking women, but you can survive it if you make up your mind to take it and then give your own too. Because sometimes you need to give a lot of punches from your own end too. You can't afford to be afraid. You have to just go in there, deal with the things they give to you, but make sure you give them enough to be dealing with as well. That's the way I do it. And much as I'm still quite new in the system, I know that based on my own drafts of where I should be year to year, I am doing exceptionally well. In fact, I'm coming so much faster than I had thought I would. And I advise all others that want to come in, especially the women, the young women especially, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look at it, see it for what it is, see the dangers, see the excitement, see, but then also see after the time how much you're going to do for so many people in this world. And that should keep you going. In terms of how to be a successful politician, that's not easy to answer because even though I believe strongly in my plan, I'm not God. I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing the future other than the one I have planned. And I know it's going to be a successful one politically and in every other way. How do you become a successful politician, especially as a woman? I would say for me, I've chosen to believe, I've chosen to be strong, I've chosen to take whatever is coming with a big smile on my face, and I've chosen to do it on my terms. I want to be happy. I want to make sure my home is intact. I want to make sure my children are doing well in life generally. And I want to make sure that I get to the point where all of it comes together the way I have seen that it would. And for me, I think the primary element is faith, to believe that that draft you have in your hands, in your head, in your heart is going to unfold and it's going to do exactly the way you have drafted it or even better. Thank you.
Wow. I am so glad I did this. I am so glad I did this. And to be honest, I don't think this 40 minutes will ever do this episode justice. And I do want to respect the audience that sent in questions. I won't even be able to ask all of them. So I'll just pick one from Candy and ask. I have heard that something that you care about a lot is ethics. So, how do you deal with corruption in your various capacities, especially in the fields that you've chosen? Politics.
That's a beautiful question. Honestly, your audiences, your people they are just amazing. You have a beautiful audience. In terms of corruption, what I learned to do over the past 7 years that I've been in the arena is to set the pace, make sure I produce pathways that allows things to be done properly at all times. Most times you can use the digital economy, you can use uh, internet, you can make things transparent, you can do things in a way that the digital technology allows you to show everybody what's happening, no matter where they are physically. So everybody can follow the process and see that it is clean. So as long as the areas I am allowed to man can be done transparently, I'm okay. I'll be able to do exactly what I'm supposed to do, follow the rules to the letter, make sure I produce the best result possible for everybody. Now, I don't interfere too much, if at all, with what others are doing with their roles. So, for example, if I am to run an election for like a group of us, like when I was the Interparty Advisory Council chairman in Nigeria, sorry, a secretary, I was to organize the uh, elections for the entire country for all the members, so that new members can take up the position and replace the old membership. Now, the system usually is you collect money from people and then you sell out and then you cheat others and whatever. I didn't let them do that. I told them to give me the space, let me organize it transparently. And then eventually they did. And then I went into the system, created a platform where everybody could come online, even the so-called uneducated members. They figured out how to get their siblings, their children, or whoever to open accounts for them, log them in, and everybody was able to come in there, pick the roles they wanted to contest, registered for them, and then were able to like emerge properly. Now, the guys who wanted to influence, who usually do it and then go in and do negotiations with some people, collect money and cheat others, what they now had to do was go in there and negotiate for the others to step down so that those people they've collected money from or they are expecting rewards from could emerge without necessarily cheating the others. So they went in there and started negotiating with those people. So what you realize is that if you can keep doing what you're doing right and doing it the right way, others will eventually copy you. And even if they don't copy you, they would respect you. They will look at you and like, man, that person, forget it. You can trust her. And I did it for pretty much everything. They will hand me the opportunity to furnish the office or get groceries or whatever for the office. I'll go get it. I'll bring the original receipts and hand over to them and give them the change. And they'll be looking at me like, are you normal? Are you okay? Are you mad? And then I'm like, why? Because when they're talking, I don't even understand what they're saying. And then it turns out that nobody brings original receipts. People write memos. If the price is 1,000 Kenyan shillings, they will write 100,000 Kenyan shillings on a memo and bring back, and then pocket the 90,000 or stuff. I don't have to do that. At the same time, I don't interfere with what the others are doing because I don't want to become somebody that everybody wants out. Mm-mm. You can't afford to be that. So the corruption may be going up around you. You should be aiming to curb as many of them as possible, but you must avoid putting yourself in a position where you begin to look like a saint or a spoiler, because once you start to look like that, everybody will gang up against you, and before you know it, you're out. So you don't want to behave in such a way that you'll be out, but you also want to show good examples. You want to show that you can live very happily, very comfortably without stealing anything from anybody. And then the luck I had was that when people started winning, they were happy to gift me things. They would bring me stuff. And then by the end of the day, I was getting more from thank yous than they had from the negotiations they had to do. So somehow some of them were converted just because I did the right thing without judging them, without making them feel bad about what they were doing. So I believe strongly that corruption is not something you can eliminate. It's everywhere, UK, US, Central Europe, wherever you look at, there is corruption in every system. What you need to do is to minimize it as much as possible around you and set the kind of example you want people to follow. Live the life, the corrupt-free life you want to live among them. You will see that a lot of people will convert.
Okay, I think that's very practical advice, very objective, very realistic. It's not out there, it's just very practical. So the last question from our audience, I'm so sorry everyone, questions were too many, time is not as much. So this person called Atandi Anyona used to be my manager, amazing human being. He asked, is there hope for our continent? How comes after 6 decades of independence, our progress overall is abysmal?
There is hope for our continent, and after 60, 100 years even, I would say we are doing very well. I'm a very positive thinker. So whatever I'm looking at in my life, I'm always able to see the good sides. And I can tell you confidently that where we were 60, 70 years ago is not where we are at today. We have so many more roads, infrastructure, people are getting educated so much more. There's curiosity, people are able to like invent things, like people are trying even in the difficulties. People are trying and doing a lot for themselves. Then there's a lot of us who have sent our kids abroad. They too are learning, they too are yearning for the time when the atmosphere will be good enough for all of them to come home and begin that amazing development some of us are seeing. It will come. What I beg people to do is be hopeful, be hopeful, be prayerful, be confident that better days are ahead, because indeed they are. Today is messed up, but tomorrow will not be. It will not always be messed up. If you look at all the countries in this world, they went through thousands of years of misery, punishment, suffering. What you're seeing now in the Americas, in Europe, or whatever, they are all recent. But imagine how many thousands of years of history of them we know. Now we have a history that we are actually beginning to write and read about, just about 70 years, most of us in Africa. I'm saying the world is going to humble themselves on our faith when we get our acts together. And we will, because what we're undergoing is a process. And at some point, many more of us who know where we should be headed will be in charge. And the moment that happens, it's all upwards for us. I have no doubt that Africa is going to feed the world in terms of people, in terms of geography, in terms of weather, in terms of natural resources. In every way you look at humanity, Africa is leading, just that we don't have the right leadership yet. But we'll get it. We'll get it. And the moment we do, everybody who kept faith will be happy they did. So I keep telling everybody, and I'm telling you all again, keep faith. We are going to do great in our lifetime, even because thanks to the internet, everything is happening so much faster than they were a few decades ago. So even in this our lifetime, we're going to see amazing developments in Africa. Let's keep faith. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing our little, helping in every way we can, developing those around us, helping educate the young ones. The government is messing up. Don't just look at the government. Begin in your own little ways to make life better for everybody around you. At some point, it will all come together. And when it comes together, it's going to be a big, big, big boom. I'm so confident.
And I'm with you on, in being
Thank you.
confident in what we can do. I think we have
Yeah.
come a long, 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 long way as Africa.
Good.
So
Good.
thank you so much. That was the last question. This has got to be one of the most, I don't know what the word is, but I feel so good for this
Thank
session.
you so much,
I feel
Imani. So,
so
so,
amazing. I
thank
feel
you.
so uplifted, and I think
Thank
that's
you.
a good sign if we're going to have leaders that make us feel uplifted, people
Thank
who
you.
feel that we're not on the right track, then yeah, rooting for you to be the next president of
Amen.
Nigeria. Absolutely
Amen.
love the vision, love how
Thank
you're so
you.
strategic in how you think, and
Thank you.
absolutely rooting for you. Of
Thank
course,
you.
now I'm very interested in Nigerian politics. Um,
Good.
be following them hand in hand with Kenyan politics. Um, Thank you so much again. And that
Welcome. Welcome.
marks the end of
Have
this
a,
session.
have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.